Welcome, 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 everyone. Class is in session. This is Mega School. Mega School is everything about learning today the things you wish you had learned 10 years ago, and learning today the things you'll be glad you had learned in 10 years. So that's what Mega School is about. Financial literacy is the top class, top number one topic that people ask to learn about. We are going to talk about crypto. We're going to talk about gold and precious metals in general. And we're going to just talk about just straight up cash and cash flow. And we're going to center the conversation around 300,000, $300,000 of buying power in crypto, in gold, in cash. And there's a reason why that number of 300,000 is something special. So I want to dive right in here. I call this a Wealth 101 class. I want to give some context as to where this class even came from. But just to kind of set the tone, I want you guys to consider this. Some of y'all remember this. You're old enough to remember. Some of y'all not so much. But check this out.
That's okay. We're straight. We're going to talk. Go ahead. You said your career is not exactly what you would have wanted it to be, but this proves it. What's not on?
Step on up.
I'll tell it. We're not going to sugarcoat anything anymore. We've been quiet long enough. Can I get an amen?
Amen!
All right.
All right.
Well, I'll put it to you this way. We are the biggest selling female group ever. 10 million albums worldwide. We have worked very hard. We have been in this business for 5 years.
5 years.
And we are broke as broke can be. And we're not like trying to be a sad story. If that was the case, we would have been on everybody's talk show talking about how broke we are. We haven't done that. I know it's hard to believe because we've sold so many albums, but it is possible. That's the deal here. So, and we're not happy at all. But for real, tonight, this is all we wanted. We wanted to win a Grammy, at least one, and we won two. And that proves that we are the jam.
Chili, can you talk?
All right. I like that. They had the jam, but they was broke. You all, you know how embarrassing that is. But they had success come their way, but they weren't prepared to receive the success. 2 Grammys, at that time, the greatest, selling at the time. And here it is. They made millions of dollars. They did make millions of dollars. It just didn't hit their bank account. So I want to talk about this theme of you're going to have your big break, be it here or there. But the biggest problem is ironically not being prepared to receive a flood of success. And that's what I want to talk about. And ironically, when you prepare to receive success, sometimes that in of itself brings upon success. And I want to break that down in terms of dollars and cents right now. So Velocity is a teen program I'm developing. Yes, it's in Evanston, but it's going to be nationwide as well. So when teens are full of potential, they need to be prepared to receive success. Yes or yes? So this is really actually what you're about to see is really geared towards teens and to go to teens across America to be the new normal of financial literacy education. But it is a teen social club, and entrepreneurship and financial literacy is the focus, and it's not AI driven. So it's about how do you stay one step ahead of AI. It's not being against AI, not being anti-AI, but staying one step ahead of AI. Very relevant for them. Shoot, is relevant for all of us. So this is where this program and where this material has come from. Again, I'm Jerome Bell. I'm the founder of Mega School and Velocity. And I think I found y'all the cure for financial cancer. As a software engineer at the senior level, yes, I get paid good money, but what I found out is that the money that I'm paid with, they create it out of thin air. That's a whole other conversation, but I'm talking about the US dollar. I'm talking about the Federal Reserve notes and how they create those out of thin air. I don't mind working. I don't mind working hard, but you're not going to pay me for literally nothing, for something that you create out of thin air. In the process of trying to solve that problem, I think I found the cure for financial cancer for the entire middle class. And maybe you'll agree, 300,000. This is the magic number. Why? There is enough money in America right now for every man, woman, and child to get $300,000 apiece. Every man, woman, and child to get $300,000 apiece. Here's the math. Google this. There's $100 trillion total in America. If you gave every man, woman, and child an even split of that, that's $300,000. So I say the true middle class is an even split of all the money. Just an even split of all the money. That's the true middle. That's the true middle class. So to manage your expectations, anything that can move you towards $300,000 or really $300,000 of buying power is simply middle class. So that's not even expanding your mind. That's actually setting it down to average. All right. So that could be $300,000 straight cash in your bank account, $300,000 in gold of buying power, or $300,000 in crypto. So $300,000 of buying power. So let's think in those terms. And I actually want to show 3 different ways of getting $300,000 of buying power so that you know, number one, not only is it possible, but number two, you should expect it as the new normal. So I'm going to start with my own cryptocurrency. Yes, this is the cure for financial cancer, in my humble opinion. This is the cryptocurrency I've created. We see the American flag here because it's literally called USA. That's literally the name of the cryptocurrency. It's USA. Very simple concept. There's 100 trillion USA total. So it's a fixed supply. It's an immutable supply. You can't make any more of it. There's 100 trillion of the USA. And then I do kind of like what Oprah Winfrey did. You get 300,000. You get 300,000. You get 300,000. Every man, woman, and child gets 300,000. There's a little asterisk there because it's really for the adults. The children have a different program. But bottom line, there's enough for every man, woman, and child to get 300,000 USA. Okay, stay with me here. It's very simple. So USA is money for American people by American people. All right. So this is not coming from the government. It's not coming from a private corporation. It's not coming from a private business. So just a quick compare and contrast. The US dollar, there's an infinite supply of it. They keep creating it out of thin air. Okay. A lot of people already know this, may not know how, but they know that they keep printing money. USA is a fixed supply of 100 trillion. Do you know who owns the US dollar? It's the Federal Reserve. Oh, that's a government. Nope. The Federal Reserve is not a government entity. It's a private company. It's a private corporation. Not going to get into that. That's the bottom line. The ownership of USA, that's us. That's the people. The distribution of US dollar, USD, it's centralized. The banks control the creation of the US dollar out of thin air. That includes the Federal Reserve, which is the central bank of the United States. So that's the bank's bank. Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, their bank is the Federal Reserve. So at 2 levels, they create money out of thin air. So that's why it's centralized. The distribution for USA is decentralized. Kind of like I just explained. Every man, woman, and child gets 300,000. Who's controlling the actual money supply? It's the banks. Once again, as you imagine, they control it. They're the ones who are distributing it, but we, the people, control it with USA. So a lot of people say, okay, what's the catch? What's the catch? That's everybody's question. There's a big if. If we pay with USA, if every man, woman, and child is getting 300,000 USA, then if we choose, now this is important, if we choose to start paying for goods, if we choose to start paying for services with USA, then by definition, it has fair market value. By definition, plain and simple. So the difference between pop quiz, monopoly money, is USA just a bunch of monopoly money? Or is it actual money that has actual buying power? It boils down to this, folks. There's a critical mass, or I call it the tipping point, where not everybody's using USA, but some, 100,000, 500,000, maybe 1 million people are transacting with it. They may not be transacting millions of dollars, they might be transacting thousands. But there's a critical mass or tipping point in which the fair market value of USA is equal to 1 USD. So 1 USA is equal to 1 USD in terms of buying power, strictly based upon the free market, what folks are doing of their own free volition. When that tipping point happens, that critical mass, I don't know what that is. I don't know if anybody does, but when it does happen, you got to remember every man, woman, and child has USA in their pocket. And when that tipping point happens, they're going to say, I have $300,000 of buying power in my pocket because I have 300,000 USA. Once you hit that tipping point, that critical mass from the fair market value of USA becomes 1 USD. Some of you all put this together, 2 and 2 already. This is like a gangster move on the part of the middle class. This is a middle class making a gangster move because you're not paying for USA. It was given away. The entire supply was given away. You're not paying for it. But if we choose to use it as the middle class, we will give ourselves, $300,000 of buying power. And folks, buying power is what pays the bills. This is it. It's deceptively simple. Okay, it's not intended to be complex. This is how the middle class, this is how we can save ourselves without government, without big tech, and all the rest. All right. So that being said, I realize usually people have 1,000,001 question. All right, and that's all right. But I want to pause there and open up to just 1 or 2 questions. And by the way, if you have a question that pops into your head, you're afraid you're going to forget it, you can put it in the chat. You can put it in the chat so you don't forget. All right. But I want to, you guys can come off mute and I can take 1 or 2 questions for this piece right here, because this is the 300,000 by way of crypto. So come off mute or you can raise your hand. Either way, I can take 1 or 2 questions.
So this is a coin that you've developed?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any type of prospectus, like a, I don't know, ICO or something like that, initial coin offering?
Right. If you have an ICO if you're selling it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not selling it.
Okay. So how is it being distributed?
Anyone, every adult American is given 300,000 USA. It's an airdrop, to use crypto terminology. You can call it airdrop and crypto terminology. In more traditional terminology, it's a universal basic income one time.
Okay. Okay.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah. I understand some stuff about crypto. So yeah. So you're saying it would be like an airdrop. It's not basically people could just go in and get it and put it in their wallet, their crypto wallet and so forth.
Correct. No one's paying a dime for it.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's not for sale by design. On top of that. 1 or 2 other questions. I realize you all may have 1,000,001, but 1 or 2 other questions for right now.
Okay, I have a question. If Bitcoin, for instance, used to cost $100 for a Bitcoin. Now it's $100,000. XRP was 17 cents. Now it's $3. And they have buying power. How does this USA? How does it get buying power?
Right. So the reason why we have a buying power is because this is kind of like I said, the gangster move. You and every other adult you know has 300,000 just given to them. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
So you have to ask yourself, does the average adult that you know have $300,000 of buying power in US dollars?
No.
Okay. But if they simply choose to start transacting with USA, because they got it, they got 300,000. Shoot, you got 300,000. Everyone you know has 300,000. If we simply choose, right, to start transacting with the USA, then now everybody has $300,000 of buying power in their pocket in the form of USA.
Okay. Who is going to accept your USA
All right.
as
If
a dollar or as a buying unit?
right. So since everyone is freely receiving USA, right?
Yeah.
They are certainly capable of accepting USA's payment.
Okay.
And so basically you're basically doing each other a favor. Look, I'll accept your USA if you accept my USA.
You're bartering in essence.
Well, not you're choosing to mutually, so it would be like, imagine if all Americans just chose to start transacting in euros.
Okay. Okay.
You better have you some euros, but that it definitely has buying power. So no matter if all the
Yes.
Americans or critical mass just chose to start transacting with USA, then USA by definition has fair market value. It has buying power.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. All right. Excellent questions. Excellent question. So I realize everybody's probably going to still have 1,000,001 questions. All right. This is an exposure of a way to get $300,000 of buying power for free. All right. The only quote unquote requirement is you need to take a financial literacy class. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. And some of you all already know this. So that 300,000 in crypto, buying power in crypto. Now, here's why I require a financial literacy class. Somebody already mentioned actually, what is the price of Bitcoin today? Somebody just shout it out, please.
$17,000.
All right.
There
So,
was yesterday. That was yesterday.
all right, $17,000. Folks,
117,000.
117?
Yes.
Okay. Folks, somebody way back when, around 2008-ish, they didn't know what Bitcoin was and its potential. They bought one pizza for 10,000 Bitcoin. You can Google that. They bought one pizza for 10,000 Bitcoin because they didn't have financial literacy and they didn't know what they had their hands on. So if it's $117,000 today, then I got to move over the decimal point 4 times. So that's 117 million. So that's $1.17 billion of buying power that they gave away for one pizza. Right? That's what happens when you don't have financial literacy and you have no clue what crypto is. I am not saying the buying power of USA is going to increase. It's not intended for the buying power of USA to increase. It's actually intended for the buying power of USA to stay the same decade after decade after decade. All right. But $300,000 of buying power today, that ain't bad. And obviously in 10 years' time, $300,000 of buying power in today's terms ain't bad. You get the idea. So the point is, I require 4 financial literacy courses. This is one of the 4. And then you can get I'll give you the um, the USA. All right. So that's that. Now I want to talk about, okay, this is the foundation, going back to that video with TLC, being financially literate, being prepared for success. This is a general universal foundation to build wealth in any kind of way. It doesn't matter if it's real estate, it doesn't matter if it's business, it doesn't matter if it's investing. These are the essential pillars that you need to build generational wealth. So I'm going to show you how to get a $25,000 a year passive income stream. And because it's passive income, this could be used for your lifestyle. Think of it as a lifestyle stipend. You're not working for it, this is passive, but it could be used for lifestyle or whatever you choose. When you have a wealth foundation, so don't just think about yourself, but think about for generations to come, you got to have a business, a family business of some kind. And it helps to have a business that's like turnkey, that is in recession-proof industries. That's financial services. Notice that people in Wall Street tend to do well no matter how the market is going. Healthcare. Doesn't matter how the market is going. People need healthcare. Real estate. People who are good at real estate know how to make money when the market is up or down in real estate. Ask any real estate professional. Shopping rewards. It doesn't make sense, but even when times are bad, people still buy stuff. So you might as well be able to help them to save money and get paid for those people going to buy anyways. So you're thinking about intergenerationally having a business, a family business that already exists that are in these essential services that will survive and thrive no matter what the market is. You will, for your generational wealth, need some kind of income producing assets. Some practical options: precious metals leasing. That's leasing gold, silver, palladium, not selling them, leasing them for a monthly yield. We're going to get into that in a bit. A high yield savings account. That's not what you can get at your bank. That's what you can get through what's called infinite banking or self-banking with life insurance. I see Mr. Terrence Doby is on the line. He's very passionate about that, along with different ways to get growing lines of credit. I tell you what, Terrence, if you're in a position where you can speak, can you take 30 seconds and give us just a very brief snapshot of the value of life insurance if you're in a place where you can speak? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I know you love this, so you don't. I know
I
you wouldn't
do.
mind.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. So good evening, everyone. I don't know if everybody can hear me. I don't think anybody can see me, which is cool. But you know, I won't wax poetically about the value of life insurance. Just that everyone needs it, not just for the death benefit, but for the living benefits of it. The tax-free wealth accumulation portion of certain types of whole life insurance. And even if you can only qualify for term life insurance, the generational wealth foundation of that is enormous, and probably something that a lot of us wish that our ancestors had done for us. So I'll just leave it at that, to not kind of co-opt Mr. Bell's presentation, but life insurance is the one, I hate to use the term investment, but it's the one true payoff that you're guaranteed to get, in life and after life.
Thank you, Mr. Doby. If that in any way piqued your interest or intrigued you, Mr. Doby, I'm sure, will be willing to put his information in the chat. Connect with him just on that piece alone. All right. So the other thing is generation. You need a way to manage. You and your generations to come need a system to manage the wealth that's being passed down. That means protecting yourself from heavy taxation. That means paying 0 to 5% annual tax. All right. That means having some sort of asset protection. People are lawsuit crazy nowadays. There's a way to protect yourself. It means having an estate plan. So all those things are essential. And it sounds like I'm saying a lot because I am saying a lot. This is what it takes. And there are subsequent classes, but to break all those down. But what I want to emphasize, and this is where we get into specific precious metals, that the building blocks of a generational wealth foundation is a trust. It is business funding, what some people call using other people's money, OPM, other people's money. That's leverage. And also with precious metals. All right. And there's different ways to increase your buying power with precious metals. So what is a trust? A trust is literally a contract. It is a three-party contract, plain and simple. And the trust that I want to emphasize, because many of us have heard about different kinds of trust. This is the trust from which all other trusts are derived. So this is the one that's bulletproof. This is the one that your family needs intergenerationally. A trust is literally a three-party contract with a creator, a trustee, and a beneficiary. Those are the three parties, plain and simple. Think about a trust fund, baby. Some of us know, some of us don't. You have $250,000. You're a parent. Your child's only 10. You want them to get it when they're 18, for example, or maybe 25, or maybe 30. You're the creator of the trust. As a parent, you're the one putting the $250,000 into the trust fund. Who's going to oversee the money? Somebody who you literally trust. Say, for example, a godparent. They're going to oversee the money until the child is of age, 18 years or whatever you specified. And then when the child's of age, they're the beneficiary. That means they get the money in the trust fund. Plain and simple. Now, there's a principle here called own nothing but control everything. All right? That sounds like a riddle. What they're saying is nothing should be owned in your name. Everything should be owned by the trust fund. Your house is owned by the trust. Your cars are owned by the trust. Your intellectual property, your patents are owned by your trust. Your life insurance policies are owned by your trust. Your real estate is owned by your trust. Your LLCs are owned by your trust. You don't own anything, but you're still able to control everything because you are the trustee of the trust. So let's go back to that trust fund baby example and see how we would actually set that up. The creator of the trust could literally be anybody. That might sound crazy because we're talking about bulletproof trust, which is to say it's an irrevocable trust. That means whoever is creating this trust, they can put money into it, but they can't take anything out of it. So they're locked out immediately. That's why anybody could be the creator. The trustee would actually be the parent in that example of a trust fund baby. And the successor trustee would be the child, which means if the parent is incapacitated or has passed away, the child simply gets the keys to the kingdom. They simply become the first trustee. No need for probate because it all belonged to the trust the whole time. You just changed who was the trustee or the administrator. Who's the beneficiary? That's where we get strategic. That's where people build some interesting structures on who's going to be the beneficiary of the trust. So when we look at these things, we need to understand, why does a trust have power? It is a legally binding contract. Well, if it's legally binding, under what law? English common law. That is the law of the King of England. We know about Indian nations. I'm using that on purpose, that language, because that's what the federal government uses in their official documents. We know Indian nations can have casinos. We know that's against the law. How is that possible? We already know the answer. They're outside the jurisdiction of the federal government. And so when we talk about, and we also know about state, and we also know about local, and that hierarchy. But this trust, this legally binding contract, is under English common law. That means it's co-equal with the federal government itself. Understand this. In the same way the federal government cannot regulate an Indian nation, the federal government cannot regulate your trust. They are co-equal. An Indian nation, the federal government, your trust, under English common law jurisdictions, co-equal. This is true power, and this is what's been hidden from the American people. LLCs and corporations, many of us have heard about that. That's created at the state level, okay? But not your trust, not your trust. So how would you leverage this? Respectfully, President Trump has hidden his tax returns. He said in 2016 he was going to share them. He never has. He lied. It's a fact. Respectfully, he's withholding essential information, liberating information from the middle class. I'm about to spill the beans on what's in President Trump's tax return. Let's say you have an LLC making money. You take that money and you don't distribute it to yourself, you distribute it to your business trust. All right? This is where you're taking care of all business expenses and receiving business income. All the profits, they don't go to you, they go into your family trust. This is where you're doing all your personal spending. So when you're going to the grocery store, instead of swiping with your personal debit card, you're going to swipe with your trust debit card, particularly the family trust. Anything left over, is donated to your private family foundation. Ever heard of the Oprah Winfrey Foundation, LeBron James Foundation, Bill Gates Foundation? All right, the Clinton Foundation. It's a tax shelter. It is an essential strategy in order to shield yourself from taxation. Let's go through a concrete example to show how a billionaire like President Trump can pay less in taxes than his cleaning lady. Let's say your LLC has $150,000 in revenue. You're going to distribute all $150,000 to your business trust via a K-1 distribution. See, your business trust is going to become an owner of the LLC. They may own 95% of the LLC or even 100% of the LLC. And so you can do a K-1 distribution to the owner, which is the business trust. And the tax liability is passed on through that K-1 distribution. That LLC is paying zero in taxes for that reason. Your business trust has $150,000 from the LLC. They have $50,000 of expenses in this generic example. We know expenses are deductible. So what do we do with the profit? That $100,000 of profit is actually going to be distributed to the beneficiary of the business trust. Well, guess who's the beneficiary of the business trust? The family trust. Now, here's something a trust can do that no LLC, corporation, or even natural flesh and blood person cannot do. A trust can distribute unlimited, that means even 100% of its income to its beneficiary, and they don't have to pay taxes on it. The tax liability is passed on through the distribution to the beneficiary. This business trust is paying zero in taxes. 50,000 is deductible, 100,000 is passed on the tax liability. The business trust pays zero in taxes. The family trust has $100,000. This is effectively $100,000 of household income. Let's say you have $80,000 of household expenses. Because the trust contract says you must pay those expenses, that's all tax deductible. The grocery shopping, the car insurance, right? Paying for the kids' school, all right? Now, what's left over is $20,000 in this example. That family trust is going to pay zero in taxes. Here's why. Something else a trust can do that no LLC, corporation, or natural flesh and blood person can do. A trust can donate unlimited, that means 100% of its income, to a 501c3 nonprofit charitable organization tax-free. So that $20,000 left over is going to be donated to the private family foundation. That family trust is therefore going to pay zero in taxes. $80,000 of expenses, that's deductible. $20,000 deductible because it went to a charity. Family trust is paying zero in taxes. Now, this is where it gets very interesting. The private family foundation got $20,000. There's only one main requirement a foundation needs to do. They need to give 5% to a charitable cause or to a charitable organization. That's $1,000 in a quote unquote tax. That could go to the Girl Scouts, get $1,000 of Girl Scout cookies, $1,000 of popcorn from the Boy Scouts, $1,000 to your church, doesn't matter. All right. What do you do with the other $19,000? It can be invested for investment with a profit, with a yield, and all profit, all yield is earned tax-free in perpetuity. So here it is, you had effectively a $100,000 household income. $1,000 went to quote unquote tax, charitable cause. That's an effective tax rate of 1%. This is what Donald Trump was hiding in his tax return. The tax form for a trust is a 1041 form. We're used to the 1040 form, which is pages and pages of confusion. The trust tax form is a 1041. It's been exactly 2 pages since 1913 when the IRS was created. Not only do the rich do their taxes simpler, they do it for, as you can see, far less. You don't need to be rich to have a trust. You need to have a trust to get rich. The wealthy are playing by a different set of rules. That's why they're able to get richer faster at a faster rate. This is available to us. It's not just the information, it's the resources as well. Now, that being said, that's how you protect whatever it is you're making money with. I want to talk about how to get the precious metals, I'd say gold, but in general, precious metals, how we accumulate 300,000 of precious metals. Did I hear a question? All good, all good. All right. So stay with me, y'all. So this is a real live program. It's not new. It's been around for about 13 years. It's called Fundable 360. You can look that up. And what it is getting you access to business credit and business funding. OPM, other people's money. This is how the wealthy get richer faster. They're not even using their own money. They're using the bank's money, other people's money. This is available to us as well. Let me clear up the confusion I had, all right, on how we're not talking about personal credit and personal loans and personal funding. We're talking about business credit. So things like credit and funding for LLCs, for corporations, even for a trust. When you go into the bank, here's how they assess your profile. There's a natural person, a flesh and blood person, and then there's a corporate person, like an LLC, for example. They need to know your name. Well, for you, a natural person, that's your name. For a corporation, it's the articles of organization or the articles of incorporation. That's the actual name. The tax ID, we know our tax ID is a social security number. For a corporation, it's a EIN or employer identification number. For a person, a natural person, you have your own personal bank account. For a corporate entity like an LLC, it's a business bank account. This is the critical piece. This is what made it click for me. When you apply for a loan to the bank, you go in person, physically in person. A corporate person, like an LLC, is not a physical person. So the only reasonable, proper way to apply is in a non-physical way, meaning in a 100% digital automated way. That's what made it click for me. Physical person applies in person. A non-physical person, like a corporation, applies in a digital non-physical way. We know from personal experience, the initial limit on the personal side would be about 5,000. For corporation is 50,000. That's the paradigm shift. So the problems that each person must apply for their own funding independently, not having a person apply on behalf of another person. Well, then for a corporate person, what would that look like? The answer is what Fundable 360 has provided for the past 13 years. They have proprietary software that's directly plugged into the bank software, which is also proprietary software. The Fundable 360, they have a pre-approval system. They're a delegate underwriter for the bank. The bank has automated pre-approvals. They've always existed. They have a relationship with the banks. So yes, that's Chase, that's Bank of America, that's Wells Fargo, and 400 banks across the nation. Many you haven't heard of. They're all FDIC insured and regulated, right? Think about credit unions across the nation. 400 banks in their relationships. And Fundable 360, they don't abuse the ability to trigger those automated pre-approvals. They don't abuse Chase's automated pre-approval system. They first see if your LLC, your corporation, has what the bank is actually looking for. They basically confirm that, certify that you have what the banks are looking for, and then they will trigger the automated pre-approval with the bank, which they've been given access to. So they don't abuse their relationship with the bank. They actually make sure you have what the banks are looking for before they trigger it. This is done in a completely automated fashion. So to make this concrete, a little more concrete, what's actually happening is that a given LLC is going through the Fundable 360 process, getting their documentation in order, setting up the proper accounts, things like making sure you have a physical address for your business, things like that. And then Fundable 360 reaches out to their network of 400 banks, and it'll trickle in. You might have gotten $20,000 of funding here, $10,000 of funding there, $15,000 of funding someplace else. And to make this concrete, if I could, there was one example that I think she probably made it home. But there's one example with Patricia Bruce, who was just on the line. I think she had a hop, or she had to reconnect. Is that she went through this process and she got $51,000 of funding for her LLC in a span of 33 days. But this is it's not magic. This is what's happening behind the scenes to make that happen. I let her say a word or two about that briefly if she was, if and when she's available. But this is how it works. And I'm in IT, so I like to think in terms of that detail. But that's how this perpetual funding. I keep forgetting to say that. So the initial that's guaranteed is 50,000, but then it's perpetual funding. So every year, if you're paying your bill on time, the minimum payment, you're eligible automatically to get increased lines of funding. So typically we get 50,000. This is a strategy to get $50,000 of additional funding every year. I want to show you the math on that when you combine it with precious metals. Precious metals, gold, silver. All right. So this is the thing that we're going to be investing in once we get other people's money, the bank's money, the funding. Gold, silver, palladium, platinum, precious metals. Nothing new. This is 3 different ways to take advantage of them. We're interested in one. Saving of precious metals is, we probably heard about this. Hey, if you had X amount of gold in the 80s, you could buy a middle class house. With that same X amount of gold today, you could still buy a middle class house. That means precious metals holds on to its buying power. You're actually only saving. You're not actually increasing your buying power. But hey, I'll take it versus what the bank has in the savings account. Investing with precious metals is when you buy precious metals with precious metals to increase your buying power. Take the X ounces of gold, and then you directly purchase Y ounces of silver. Take the Y ounces of silver and purchase Z ounces of platinum. That being done over time, that X ounces of gold won't just buy you one middle class house, it'll buy you 2 middle class houses. That's a way to increase your buying power over time. What we're particularly interested in is precious metals leasing. So we purchase precious metals, but we don't sell it. We don't sell it. We lease it out for a monthly return. And we get a monthly return between 1.5 and 5%. Who are we leasing it to? We're leasing it to the likes of JP Morgan and Charles Schwab. Yes, institutional investors. So Jay Strecker, I think I'm saying that right, Jay Strecker, I always butcher that, is the one managing the contracts, and they only deal with institutional investors. They are able to get us a monthly return, that's the contract, between 1.5 and 5%. At this point, a lot of people think that sounds, I didn't say per year, I said per month. That sounds too good to be true. This is what made it click for me, and I hope it'll help it make it click for you. From your perspective, you might be saying, who's going to lease for 5% per month? Okay. Put yourself on the other side of the table. Put yourself on the other side of the contract. They're saying, who's going to give me a 95% discount? You paid $50,000 to get $50,000 of, say, gold. They're getting access to your $50,000 of gold. You're leasing it to them. They're only paying $2,500 a month. That would be 5%. So what's lucrative to you is expensive to them. You're the one giving them a 95% discount. So the question becomes, when you have institutional investors like your JP Morgan, like your Charles Schwab, if they first get a 95% discount on something as quality as precious metals, you can be sure that they have the financial savvy, the financial acumen to turn a profit after they already got a 95% discount. You're the one giving them the 95% discount. So put yourself on the other side of the transaction, on the other side of the contract, and to me, it makes sense. And people still ask, well, what exactly are they doing? Look, I don't know what JP Morgan and Charles Schwab are doing in general to make their money. One thing I know for sure, or one thing I'm confident of, is that if they get a 95% discount on anything, they have the knowledge of how to make money in that situation. So that's why you can be confident that they will honor their contract. So I just want to point that out because that's a frequently asked question. So we do the math, and this was an eye opener for me. What the strategy is to get an additional $50,000 every single year. So every single year we're getting an additional $50,000 of funding, and then we are purchasing and leasing an additional $50,000 of precious metals. You want to take an image, a screenshot, or take a picture of this image. That's what I had to do to make this make sense. Because I'm a math person, I'm an engineer. So I had to take a picture of this, I had to dissect it, fact check it, try to debunk it, all right, trust but verify it. But the math works out. A little over 500,000, 500,000 in assets. That's how much precious metals you own, and you're leasing them out for a total of $4,000 a month in 5 years. So take a picture of this, take a screenshot, take an image, fact check it, do the math. That's what I had to do. I'll speak for myself. Now, what I found in Mega School, all right, is that there's a little more efficient way to go about this. Okay, this is kind of the standard advocated approach. I found a little more efficient way to do this. But I do need to answer this question. Some of you all are pulling out your hair right now because you're saying, when are you going to pay off the principal? And the answer is, we never pay the principal. We only pay the interest forever. And that is a paradigm shift. And that's what makes me want to pull out the hair sometimes. That's a paradigm shift. This is how the wealthy are able to make money so much faster. They not only use other people's money, they only bother to pay the interest faithfully. They have zero intention of paying back the principal. Now, you easily could pay back the principal, sell the precious metals, and then you pay back the principal. The banks don't care about the principal because they only make money on the interest. They only make money on the interest. So when you do pay back the principal, they haven't made any money on the principal, just the interest. So as long as you're faithfully paying the interest year after year, the banks are happy, you're building trust with them, you're making them money, you pay the interest, but the yield from the precious metals leasing is more than the interest. You just pocket the difference. The actual finance term is called arbitrage. But that just means, hey, I'm getting more than what I'm paying, so I pocket the difference. That's arbitrage. So this is what we're doing. This for me was a paradigm shift, and this made me pause a little bit because I had to shift my mindset to understand that this is how I was doing. And when I did understand this, then I said, that's how the wealthy are able to get wealthy so much faster. It makes sense. So chew on that if you need to. All right. I did. I'll speak for myself. Now, this, and stay with me, you're going to have to take a screenshot of this. This is the math breakdown of when I said $25,000 a year of passive income. This is the math behind it. I'm going to be honest with you all. I don't have a clear and concise way to describe what you see in this grid. And that's why I made the grid. But when I was doing the number crunching, this math works out. Okay. This is how you can get $25,000 a year in passive income. That will equate to a little over $2,000 a month in passive income. All right. The strategy is very simple. Basically, with multiple rounds of funding, you're paying back the first round at a very high level. I know this isn't going to make sense. Do what I did. Take an image of this, a screenshot. I actually made this, but even for my own self, I had to take a screenshot. I had to run the math and see if it made sense. All you're doing is you're creating a new LLC every year and getting a fresh 25 and getting a fresh round of funding. You can take $25,000 off the top, and it's lifestyle income. Then over the subsequent rounds, you're able to pay back the first round, and then it just repeats. Okay? If you're scratching your head, pulling out your hair, take an image of this, take a screenshot. This is the proof. This is the mathematical breakdown. You're talking to an engineer here. This is the math. It's not magic, it's math, and you're looking at it, all right? So that being said, this is why you can get $25,000 a year of passive income. This is how it's done, all right? Obviously, you're not gonna be rich off of that, but that's nothing to sneeze at, all right? Especially middle class people. But notice that with the round, the funding round 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, that's all precious metals accumulation. That's taking all $50,000 of each round and investing it in precious metals for the yield. So that's where you're accumulating tens of thousands of dollars of precious metals, all the way to the point where you're going to not only meet, but exceed $300,000 in the amount of precious metals that you own. So I'm not even talking about the yield. I'm just talking about how much precious metals that you own in gold. So I realize I'm saying a lot, y'all, but I'm breaking it down with the numbers so that you guys can know, okay, this is the way. And the key is having trust, right, to protect yourself, and then using other people's money to accelerate and get to $300,000 in precious metals. This is not what they teach in school, but it is what we teach in Mega School, all right? I didn't come up with this. Mega School, we curate the best of the best information to make this happen. So with that, I want to pause here, and I want to take 1 or 2 questions. I realize you probably have 1,000,001 questions. I want to pause here and take 1 or 2 questions on the precious metal. Okay. So with that, I want to say, okay, we talked about 300,000 in crypto, 300,000 in precious metals. All right. I'm actually going to breeze through this last piece only because it wraps everything together, and I'm looking at the clock. So I'm going to breeze through this because I want to respect you all's time. All right. How would you get $300,000 in just straight cash, US dollars in the checking account, in the bank account? This is a family business you can run that'll work generation to generation. What does it mean? It means this family business I'm about to show you will help you to stay one step ahead of AI, earning US dollars, not crypto, not gold, but US dollars. And the key is you need a business that will be able to survive the future. You need a business that will stay one step ahead of AI. Take a look at this and listen carefully.
Real. Let's talk about 6 potential outcomes of what could happen if the internet fills up with AI content. The first potential outcome is that human creators will actually have an easier time standing out against the flood of AI slop on social media. Audiences want to follow and support creators that they know are human. Of course, then the question kind of becomes, well, how do you know that I'm human, really? The negative side of this is that human creators might find it getting harder and harder to stand out within a sea of AI slop that has been engineered to flood our brains with dopamine, and human creators like me won't stand a chance. Number 3, squarely in the negative camp, is that the internet becomes an unusable source of information. Real events are indistinguishable from simulations, and the truth becomes unknowable. Very, very negative. Now, one ironically positive side effect of this is that the negative effects of fake news will effectively go away. If none of us trust anything we see on the internet, then that means that all of the disinformation campaigns also lose their bite. Number 5 and number 6 are more predictions around culture and business. First, if we can't trust anything we see online, then certain things are going to gain a premium, like in-person events and physical media. I call this the analog renaissance. And the last one, when people get fatigued from constantly questioning what's real, they'll retreat into things that feel more realistic because they're pre-AI. Think old YouTube, DVD, because it feels safe and familiar. All right, what do you think? Are you more on this side or on this side? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and for more non-pretentious, non-patronizing education about AI, follow this page.
And I follow that page. That's very good. I don't know if you caught that. I like the what she said, analog renaissance. It's almost like going back in order to go forward. An analog renaissance. People are looking for that old school, person to person, belly to belly. Now we're doing this over Zoom, but I'm telling you, Mega School is designed to be able to connect in person and build business in person. All right. So this is why I'm about to show you an AI proof business. It's because it's education based. It's designed to be shared in person. And more importantly, its education is designed by its nature is most effective when we move closer to in person. So this business that I'm about to show you, it thrives when you're educating and teaching even in person, moving towards that analog renaissance. Because one day people are going to think even my face on Zoom might be AI. So take that into consideration. The business is actually, what if we just show people, this is the business, how to make that $25,000? Need three things: a trust, business funding, and precious metals leasing. That's the product, is learning how to do that in practical terms and getting access to the services. So how will we get paid off of just showing people how to do exactly that? An affiliate program, plain and simple. So with the Fundable 360, they offer a $400 referral fee. With that $50,000, they don't have to use it for precious metals. They can use the $50,000 for any purpose they like. People use it for personal spending. They use it to pay for education, buy a truck, build inventory, whatever the case may be. They don't have to use it for precious metals. So for whatever reason, somebody wants to enroll in the program for the for the funding, it's a $400 referral fee paid out. So all Mega School does, or anybody who participates in the program, is they simply educate and keep it at that. And then people are interested in getting the practical help, they get paid a referral fee, plain and simple model. It does scale for professionals, be it real estate, insurance professionals. They have an agency of their own. Their agents can they'll do a check match with your agent. So if you want to make $1,000, you have one agent with 10 referrals, two agents with 5, 10 with one. It'll be $1,000 check match because they're doing 100 for each individual one. This isn't a multi-level marketing or network marketing ordeal. It's only for one tier only. So it doesn't scale. All right. One tier only. Now, the precious metals is a separate complementary program. It's a different referral program. And the beauty about that is that you can get paid for direct and indirect referrals. So during this, what I call a gold rush of people not only purchasing precious metals, but also leasing them. During this gold rush, you're going to have a flood of people who want the precious metals. Now, for the customers who get access to the precious metals, it's through a membership. It's kind of like a Costco or a Sam's Club membership, except it's for financial services. So one of the services in the membership is the precious metals leasing. So when people are going after this gold rush, the referral program for the customers is that their membership is actually free. The fee is waived when they get 3 referrals themselves. So the customers who are going after the gold, they get 3 referrals. Theirs is free. That's great. But how does that pay somebody who's an affiliate? Well, if you have 12 direct customers, so 12 people who are in this program, they're getting the precious metals, they're happy with just that. That's awesome. But then they have volume customers. This is what's key. So those 3 free customers, right? They're not paying, but they have 9 paying customers, right? They were the referral there. Because you're the affiliate, you get paid on the total volume of 12 customers. So you get paid both direct and indirect, simply off of the customer base, strictly off the customer base, and it's $600 per month. So we're talking about a residual commission, a residual revenue share off of 12 customers, be it direct or indirect. And it more or less scales that way. It scales in that fashion. Let the people come with the gold rush, and then you just get paid for every single person who's going after the gold. All right. And folks, this is how it scales. I showed you for a customer volume of 12, that's $600 a month, straight cash. It's paid out daily and it's straight cash into your account. So when we're talking about making $300,000 of cash, right? There's a bit of a cap, on the fundable 360. Hey, I'll take the 400, but with the precious metals, as people go for the gold rush, let them purchase through me. I'll just teach them what it is and what it isn't. For the people who do want to participate, I'll take the commission. I'll take the daily payout and I'll build out my customer volume. That's all I need. That's all I want. And so you can look here, take a screenshot, snapshot here of how you can get to $300,000 straight cash. All right. You can do it over, say, the course of 3 years or even in 1 year, depends upon your customer volume, your book of business. And so this is how we do it. How on earth would you do that from a practical standpoint? How would your descendants do that from a practical standpoint? It's like community college. How many students go through Psych 101 every year at a community college or at a university? Hundreds, if not thousands. So all we do in mega schools, we just focus on the education, the learning, right? Give people the practical knowledge they need if they want to make money with precious metals, all right? Flood them into the class. Only a fraction of them will want to actually use your referral link, all right? And then when you use your referral link, your customer volume increases. That's how you get paid. So this is why it scales. This is a class that can be done in person, preferably in person. And this is what scales intergenerationally because the value of precious metals ain't going away. So this is how that worked. And one thing I did not mention, and some of you are very keen to notice that, is, well, one, that's $300,000 in cash, US dollars. But some of you are very keen to notice you didn't say what the cost was. And the all-in cost, and I'm talking specifically about the precious metals and the trust, is $3,500. That's the all-in cost to get it going. But folks, this is the finance industry. We are hyper efficient. Scholarships are available. Full scholarships are available. All right. It's not a grant, it's a scholarship. You got to do some things, some sensible things, but scholarships are available to cover that cost. But that's the bottom line cost to get all that going for the $25,000 a year. Scholarships are available. Don't feel bad if you want or need a scholarship. Because as you take that scholarship and implement the program for the precious metals, guess who's getting paid? So don't feel any kind of way about taking advantage of a scholarship. Trust, I'm making money. But scholarships are available to specifically get started with just the precious metals and that process there. So that is 3 different ways. 3 different ways. And that is all said and done. That is the tip of the iceberg. I said this was one of 4 financial literacy classes to get the 300,000 USA. So this is one of them knocked out for you out of the 4. This is just the tip of the iceberg for kind of everything of what you've seen, but you've been exposed. 300,000 in crypto, 300,000 in gold or precious metals, and 300,000 in straight cash. This is Mega School back in session. This is Wealth 101. And yes, you too can be a trust baby like the one you see right here. So that is everything. Everybody can feel free to, I see 2 items in the chat. Let me read them in case there were questions. I do see one. Thank you, Terrence, for sharing your information so that people can take advantage of the resources. Hey, for us Evanstonians, he's local. Let's take advantage of that. He will meet you in person. I'm telling you from experience. And he breaks the thing down just on the insurance piece alone, which I didn't even really touch. So definitely reach out to Terrence for that if you had an inkling of interest. He's the bomb when it comes to that. Calvin Denton, is there a white paper for USA Coin available for review? Basically, this PowerPoint is the white paper. But no, there's going to be a more detailed, Calvin, a more detailed white paper created. I alluded to this at the STEM program where you first got introduced to these concepts. The technology for USA, in order for it to be truly decentralized, the technology actually isn't mature. And I think it's because it's due to corruption. So it's not that the technology is necessarily difficult, it can't be done. I think it's because the industry doesn't want to do it. That's the ugly side of crypto. So what I'm doing is I do have a battle plan to rectify that. And I alluded to it with the teen program. That's how I'm going to rectify that. So the white paper will have to include the platform that the cryptocurrency is going to ultimately be on, and that needs to be built up. Okay, so right now, to give you a hint, Calvin, is that right now the USA would be on the Stellar platform, if you're familiar with it, stellar.org, but eventually it's going to be on the Autonomy Network. That's the word autonomy, except it ends with an I instead of a Y. But the Autonomy Network is broken, so that's what we're gonna have to fix. But ultimately, the cryptocurrency is gonna be stored on the Autonomy Network, but in the immediate, it'll be on the Stellar Network, and then you'll just be able to bridge it per the standard process that I'm sure you're familiar with, Calvin, when you bridge a coin from one network to another. So at a high level, that's what it is. But the white paper, I can show you a old draft, but a more updated draft will be coming forth. This presentation serves as the white paper functionally for the time being. So everyone could just come off mute and I'll say one or two things. Ask a question or two, or say goodbye. But that is the end. That's all I have to share for this part 1 of 4.
Jerome, great class, great information. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith.
It was enlightening, no question about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jerome.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Jerome. Interesting stuff.
All right. Thank you, Jerry.
Talk to you
Jerry,
later.
where you
Bye.
from? Where do you hail from,
Yeah,
Jerry?
this is Jeremiah from Minnesota. How you doing?
Minnesota.
I don't know what my name popped up at.
Awesome.
Yeah. See you, Joe.
All right, we'll see you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely, tomorrow. Thank you.
Thanks for the information. I'm looking forward to seeing the white paper when it's available for that coin.
Awesome. Will do, Calvin.
Per usual, well done, sir. Always enjoy watching you present. You inspire me and encourage me to improve my delivery. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, everyone, with that, and I forgot to mention this, but it'll be on the recording. If you need your taxes done, Keith Banks is your man. He'll help you regardless of where you are in the country.
Thank you, Jerome.
Absolutely. All right, with that, have a good night, everyone. Class is over.
Okay.